Thank you, Chair. Look, I'm going to go back to the infrastructure priority list. With the interested in the list of high priority projects and the rationale for why they've ended up as the high priority projects. I mean, how important is the overall benefit cost ratios in determining whether projects are on the high priority project list?
So as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at a number of aspects when we make our assessment. One is clearly a threshold question around national significance. Then we're looking at the strategic merit of the project, and then we're really into the cost-benefit analysis in terms of the economic impact that this investment's going to have, and that really is what's leading us to identify these as high priority projects. The other dimension of that is what the problem is we're seeking to solve, and what the negative impact of not making that investment will be. So, that's largely the basis for the definition between priority.
So, do you have a rule of thumb as to does there have to be a positive benefit cost ratio in order to be there on that list?
So generally speaking, I think all these projects that are currently on the list have got positive benefit cost ratios. That'd be true.
So if they were closer to, what if it was a project that its benefit cost ratio was, only in the order of 1 or less than 1? Do you think they'd make it to the list if that was the case?
That would then be a matter for the Infrastructure Australia Board in terms of whether the strategic merit of that particular proposal warranted being on the infrastructure priority list.
But would you agree that it would be much less likely that it would be on that list if it did have a pretty low and pretty marginal benefit cost ratio?
Again, it would depend on the specific project and what other opportunities that was
Would you agree that it would be less likely to be a high priority project? There'd have to be very significant other justifications.
In terms of high priority, it will be harder for. I can't think of an opportunity at the moment that might warrant being a high priority, but I wouldn't want to say never because.
But harder and more difficult, and
yes.
And it would have to have significantly other justification as to how it met the national need to be on the list. Yes. If it had
certainly the economic impact of that investment's important as part of the high priority definition.
So the economic impact is important. So having a significant benefit cost ratio is clearly a very important factor in determining whether projects get on that list.
Or solving a very significant problem. Yes.
So look, I want to continue on the discussion about WestConnex and its benefit cost ratio. In your summary, the project business case evaluation, you state that the benefit cost ratio for WestConnex as a whole, stated by the proponent, is 1.7. Do you think that's an accurate benefit cost ratio for WestConnex?
Senator, as part of our evaluation process, we do test the analysis underpinning the development of that benefit cost ratio. We test each of the parameters associated with that to see how robust they are. We don't formulate an alternative benefit cost ratio.
Why is that?
Well, Senator, we don't want to set ourselves up as some alternative proponent. The project belongs to the proponent. It doesn't belong to us. What we're doing is evaluating how the business case has been developed and how rigorous it is.
So do you think that 1.7 is an accurate benefit cost ratio that we can rely upon, that you can rely upon in terms of your assessment?
Senator, we've tested the robustness of all the underlying analysis, and while you can find upsides and downsides in the development of that benefit cost ratio, and we've set those upsides and downsides out in our assessment, we're certainly comfortable with the benefit cost ratio that has been proposed by the proponent.
And so do you feel that it meets the requirements that are set out on you in the Act, that the cost-benefit analysis included in the PAN must be prepared using the method approved by Infrastructure Australia? The method must enable the proposals to be compared?
Yes, Senator.
You do. So that 1.7 in the proponents, and I think you state in your evaluation that the sensitivity analysis, you are confident that as undertaken, confident that the benefits will exceed the costs.
That's correct.
The sensitivity analysis is undertaken by the proponent. The information that we've got about them publicly is in technical paper 2, table 11, which states that there's a benefit cost ratio without wider economic benefits of 1.7. That also states that the costs of the project to achieve that are the $13.5 billion that, as Senator Sterle's questioning and Senator Farrell's questioning outlined before, that's clearly very much lower than what we now know the costs of the project to be.
Yes, Senator, I couldn't comment on that particular table nor its importance.
But that's the sensitivity analysis that states that's consistent with that benefit cost ratio of 1.7 is costs of the project of $13,547 million.
Senator, as I said, I couldn't comment on that particular table nor what it actually means. Certainly we have looked at sensitivity analysis over the whole project, including all of the costs as set out in the business case. That is underpinning our confidence about that benefit cost ratio.
Well, I want you to explain it to me, because the costs of the project that we currently know, we've got the capital expenditure of 16.8, as Senator Sterle outlined before, so we agree on that the current known capital expenditure the proponents are saying is 16.8 billion. Yes?
That's consistent with the business case, Senator.
Yep, and we've got land acquisitions of 400 properties, which on real estate values, the estimate that I've been given is that would be more than around 1.5 billion. We have 400 properties in Sydney and don't come cheaply, so...
Yes, Senator, as I said to Senator Sterle, we'd have to take on notice what property acquisition costs are included and what are not in that 16.8
But we're
billion.
looking at in the order of about $1.5 billion. Yeah.
Billion out of the
Senator Rice,
out of the.
without trying to disturb momentum, Senator Lambie has about 4 minutes worth of questions, and if we can accommodate her, and I'm very conscious that the independents on their own have got a lot of ground to cover, we can go to morning tea and then resume with you after morning tea, and Senator McCarthy's kindly got some qualifying questions. So we'll just probably go over on our time on Infrastructure Australia a little bit after morning tea. Are you able to accommodate me with...
Yes, look, to be
Senator,
continued.
Thank you.